So much to get to in so little time, with King's Court coming out in just over a week and a bunch of sets to follow. The market continues to be wild. Today we're going to just take a look at some of the stuff that's gone up or down in the past week. It's going to be more of a recap starting next Wednesday, which will be, I think, the 4th, or no, that's wrong. That is the 7th of July. Next Wednesday, July 7th, Ion Market will be airing live at 9:30 PM Eastern on the channel every week, and then we'll go up as a VOD after, so anyone that wants to watch or see the market. But join us for live market watch. We'll take a look at stuff that's I'm maybe not seeing. People want to interact. That'd be really fun. So it will be live market watch starting 9:30 PM next week, July 7th, and it's going to be live every Wednesday night. There may be some additional market watches that come out from time to time, but the plan is to make it a recurring live segment, so stay tuned for that. With that being said, though, let's jump into today's Ion Market. Alrighty, so with the last pre-recorded one, at least for the foreseeable future, just a pretty brisk list of things to go through. I want to take a look at King's Court, but there's no realistic pre-sale prices yet, and I just think we'd better off waiting, especially because TCGPlayer tends to go crazy with those things, so let's just hold off on it. Let's pump the brakes and take a look first at IP Masquerena. We know this is getting a reprint in Maximum Gold. If I was a bettor, I would say there's a good chance it's new reprint art and it's this existing art both get reprinted in the set, so I think it will be a lot more accessible over time. The new art is amazing. I hope it gets a secret print at some point. Definitely one of my favorite arts. It's not too like over the top, but it looks awesome and really makes the card pop out. In a cool way. So Masquerade is up to about $21 with an average of 22. Someone's got a near mint that they always trip me up with those near mints that are there, but generally $21 give or take is what we're looking at for the cheapest on this. I do think it's a good card to have. I mean, if you're not in an urgent need for it, then you might want to wait, because like I said, I do think the reprints will drive the price down, but that's a little while away, so you have to pick and choose whether or not you think that's going to work for you in your current situation. I'm playing in the Remote Duel YCS. I would recommend that if you are as well, anything you want to get, you order sooner rather than later. Shipping can be crazy, and at this point, you're really cutting it close to the wire, so definitely, I had to order a couple things a little bit late too that I wasn't anticipating, and that's my own fault. But I think they'll come in time, and hopefully we'll be okay. Egyptian God Slime continues to go up, but not only that, it continues to stay up with 3 sales today alone. $50, $52, $50. This is up a ton. I don't know if it's just because of the hype with the structure decks or if people are finding ways to utilize this, but it does look like that buyout was not just for show. The price is setting in stone, and yeah, I mean, we got a market price of 35, but that needs to be higher because there's confirmed sales here, and I just think overall this card is one that you should be looking at. And if you have it, maybe moving it. But if not, I mean, it's an Egyptian God support. We don't know whether or not Marek's going to have a reprint anytime soon. So there's pros and cons to weigh with this. It's a good card. It's neat. It's got a lot of, historical value that's going to give it, that edge. And it's obviously competing with other cards in the set. But the Ghost Rare is, way high now. And the next closest thing is Ancient Chant. And Ancient Chant is about $15 less. So definitely interesting to see that buyout sticking. Ancient Chant is as well. It looks like people are trying to jump and make sales. This is a bit of a veer off the path, if you will. But Guardian Slime is up a lot as well, about $8. And it is selling at that price. So Rage of Ra, I don't know if it's just hype with the Egyptian gods or the fact that the set's now been out for a while and it was kind of starved for value outside of the top-heavy Ghost Rares, but either way, if you have this stuff, you could be sitting on a small pile of cash. Sign-up mining is one we've talked about before on the channel. People have mentioned for a while. The super rare near mints are around $8 from the Megatins. I think this card is going to just eventually settle around 10 or more unless it gets another reprint. It was cheap for a while. You could get them around $2 to $3, but now as time passes and the card is, the tins go more and more out of the accessibility, you can't find these tins at a cheap price, and so as a result, things in them have gone up, and this is just a really good card I would recommend having. If you don't have them now, there's, you could do worse than buying a playset for $20 and just having it in case you want to play anything Cyburst-wise. I think once Heat Talker gets announced, the Decode Talker or Heat Soul, you could see this go up even more as people jump towards Cyber, so just food for thought. Meteonis Drytron continues to creep up in price as Drytron looks to stake its claim in the meta. I think it'll be heavily represented at the YCS. How well it'll do will depend on, I guess, various factors, but $12 at the cheapest. Genesis Impact continues to get some seriously solid value, especially versus the price of a box, so if you are interested in the sealed game, I think Genesis Impact may do well long term, considering it's still only $52 for a box, and you can get decent value on most of the Ultras. I think there's going to be decent return on those to buy and keep sealed, so something to keep in mind. Solemn Strike, I don't know if the Solemn Brigade is just seeing more play or what, but this card is about $6 to $7 just for the Dual Devastator one. It's it's a really good card that comes into play from time to time. I'm surprised at how much it's going up. I can still find Dual Devastator like sealed on shelves near me. I guess it's maybe getting to a point where it could be worth grabbing, but overall I'm just not super interested in that. But if you could find them and you want them, they might age well. But yeah, Solemn Strike, every copy of it is up in price, and I'm not really sure why. I guess maybe just because it's a decent card, but I didn't know it was seeing a ton of play right now. Ghost Spell is continuing to go up as well. $5 for the Dual Devastator one, adding more to the value of that set. Like I mentioned before, secret rares are really high. Like, unless you're wanting to spend the money, you're not going to get a bargain on those. About $6 to $7 for the Dual Power and the Maximum Gold one. So basically, it's going to run you around $20 for a playset. But this is a great counter to Drytron and other meta decks as well, like Tri-Brigade. I would recommend having these. Unless it gets announced for another reprint, this could go up more. We've seen it happen with Ghost Ogre and Ash Blossom, and this has far less prints than those. All of its prints are locked behind a $30 paywall, except the Flames of Destruction one, and that one is potentially short printed in a set that is very long since out of print. Selene, Queen of the Master Magicians, $15, just keeps rising. Really, really good card from Dual Overload. That's a set that just continues to do well in terms of how it ages, and this is a good card for anything that plays Spellcaster. It's just a super generic revival card, and in decks like Endymion is useful as well. So overall, just super generic, really useful, and it just, unless there's a reprint in sight, is just going to keep rising. Artifact Lancia, Secret Rare, is up to about $15 with some sold listings around $18 to $20 for first ed, so I don't know what's going on there. This card is just seeing play in side decks all over the place, counters most of the meta. In general, the Secret Rare looks gorgeous. You can get the other ones relatively cheap, but there's not the highest quantities of some of them, with the exception of Duelist Alliance having a decent amount. But Ultra Rare from Dual Devastator, about $2. I like the Secret best, I think, if you're going to spend the money, but that's not necessarily feasible, especially considering how cheap some of the alternates are. Price-wise. Another one I noticed, Angel 01 is up a lot, just versus what I assumed it would be, I suppose, at about $2.50 after taking shipping into consideration. This is a really solid card, and it does give you an additional normal summon in the form of a tribute, while allowing you to special itself, so it's got some neat use. I don't know if people are looking towards Flunderees as a possible thing or what, but it is a cool card, and it is in a structure deck that doesn't have a ton of value, so I don't know. Would I recommend picking this up? Maybe. I mean, it's not the worst card ever. People have decent quantities of it, but there's only 48 listings available, so I would keep an eye on it at the very least. Dark Ruler No More from the Charmer structure deck is up to about $7 and continuing to move. You can still find this deck in stores. And if this card hits $10, it's worth it to just buy the deck because you're basically getting the card and then a bunch of other stuff for free. This is an insanely good card that's played at 3 in almost every side deck or main deck, and you would do wise to have it. So just, keep an eye on that. Spirit Charmer structure deck, I think, will continue to do well. It's only $12 here. So, I mean, a lot of this other stuff is lower value, but you get stuff like Twisters, Veilers, Warning, Terraforming, Spellbook of Knowledge, like a lot of decent cards, Regeki even. So it's not the worst buy if you can find it at retail price. Ice Dragon's Prison is down a lot versus the market. I think it's just a matter of it being phased out a little bit right now in the format, and people just go into other options. Don't mistake it for a bad card, though. This card is still insane and will have uses in all sorts of decks going forward. I expected to get a Secret Rare upgrade in the tins, but given that it's Rise of the Duelist, I don't think it'll drop to, like, astronomical lows. You'll probably see this settle around, like, 15, 20 once a reprint is confirmed. Droll and Lockbird is up in every category, even the Maximum Gold at $15, but that's the cheapest one, realistically speaking. I don't know why I clicked on that instead of clicking on View All Versions. This is why, Market Watch can be a little tricky to do, but because it's the alternate art, it's not going to show them. All the rest are up too, and it's basically the best side card for the meta right now, or main, depending on what deck you're playing. It counters Striker, and it truly is a big brain play. Shout out to the person selling it at $14 here. There's only one listing left at that price, and then they go up to $15. So this is a good card. You're going to be paying a pretty high price on it. I kind of hope they slot it into something else this year, even though it was in Maximum Gold. Whether you want to put it in Brothers of Legend or some other set, just give it another print, because it's one of those cards that, can never have too many prints, much like Ash Blossom. Diviner of the Herald is down in price, about $65. I don't think that's indicative of the card or anything. I think it's just that it's only really seeing play competitively in Drytron at the moment, and so as a result, like, there's not a mad rush for it. Most people that wanted it have it, and now there's a decent quantity of them out there, so people are trying to make sales. I think this is a good card, and you should have it, and it is safe for a while, at least from reprint, so multiple things to take into consideration there about Diviner, but Drytron's really good, so... Nadir Serban is up a little bit versus where it had been, and market price is 74, but there were some listings down as low as 61, 62 the other day. I think ultimately this is just another card that once a reprint is confirmed, you'll see the price drop a lot, but it's a really solid card in a secret rare, and it's good for the deck, so unless it gets a hit, I don't think it's going to, you know, tank in value. If you're not playing this deck and don't anticipate playing it in the near future, I would say maybe offload them at 70 and make your money, and then pick them up when they get reprinted as we get closer to that. And lastly today, Verte Anaconda, I actually was watching live as someone got one light played for $18. I mean, light play is barely anything, right? And that's a steal, $18 for that. But it went before I was able to get it. Still, $33 is a decent listing versus the market price of $41, and the sold listings of 40s. So you maybe take a look at that one, see if it's still there. I don't even know if I refresh, is it still there? It's not. It's sold. So the $32 one is gone, and they're $45 at the cheapest. There's been 2 sales of that since then, so this just keeps going up, obviously with Dragoon, but overall this card just gets better with time, so until there's a potential hit on it, or, you know, a more accessible way to get it, it's going to continue to do well, and you would, you know, do well to continue to have it. So that's going to do it for today. Remember, next Wednesday, 1 week from today, live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, we'll be doing a live Ion Market. 30 minutes or so, we'll take a look at a bunch of stuff on the market. I would love if people jumped in and interacted, and maybe we'll even start doing some giveaways and stuff in the future to entice people to check it out and hang with us. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like the video if you enjoyed, and comment for more, and I'll see you in the next video.